Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm just going to be summarizing the 9.31 changes that occurred on August 24th. A little late posting this, however, things happen in life, so you're getting it still, don't worry. And I guess at least this time it's not going to be as rushed. I can at least maybe explain my thoughts a bit more easily, as there have been quite a few questions in regards to the new things that came out, mostly the evolutions and the skill buffs. So I just want to take the time to address all those. So there are basically three broad categories: skill improvements, new evolutions, quality life. On the corresponding post, you can click them, it'll just jump right to it. I spent a lot of time figuring out how to do this, might do this more in the future, so I'm kind of excited. So, without further ado, the first skill improvement was Izanagi. Now, both Izanagis received buffs, but the light dark one is going to have most of the focus, to be fair, as he now can become 110.25 times attack leader for gods when you're above 80% health and you match 3+ light combos. Now that's a lot of things that have to go right. First off, you have to have at least 9 light orbs and be above 80% health. And his active does not generate light. So you have to find a way to bring enough gods that can generate light orbs, as well as no preemptives or funky mechanics to knock you out of this 80% health threshold. And this is a lot of effort. And it's not really going to make him that good of a leader because, well, what's the point almost, if you may? Because you hit hard, yes, but in any real dungeon content where you get hit, you're going to be losing this high damage multiplier, and you're going to struggle to get back up there because you don't have any recovery mechanism in place. He did gain an extra skill bind resist. His other form gained a few enhanced light orb awakenings, but Izanagi hasn't been used as a sub for quite a long time. They're just simply better options for enhancement, and a lot of high-end teams may not necessarily need the enhancement anymore. And what makes all of this kind of redundant is that his awoken form, which will come out at some point, will basically eclipse this evolution, and because he becomes a 49 times attack, 4 times recovery, 75% damage reduction, heart cross leader. Now, that's similar to Miru, except you get the 4 times recovery. The only major downside is that he will have no time extend, and his active does not spawn hearts. So he's not going to be as good as Miru, but for those who can't farm a light Miru but have a good team for her, this is a viable pairing option when he does come out. I'll probably do a bit more written content on that when it comes out. For now, something to think about. Don't sell him off is mainly the big point I wanted to try and get across. Next up is Diadem, or whatever you're going to call him. He gained an extra skill boost and a Dark Row Awakening. That's nice, but he's not really used much as is because he doesn't have God or Devil typing, so he can't be used on all the best dark teams, as well as, I guess, balance at this point as well, because balance dark cards becoming a thing of Grimoire. So it's a buff, but it's a buff on a card no one really uses. Next is Fafnir, whose icon is going to get reduced in size. And Fafnir had an interesting amount of buffs. He became a 36 times row leader with a 75% damage reduction heart cross condition. Now, that is interesting because you can deal damage and you have a heart cross. However, he has no heart or wood generating active, and he has no time extend. And with heart cross leaders, you need time extend. It's just too difficult to rearrange the heart orbs into position. So he's not going to be seeing much use, I think, as a leader because he doesn't produce the heart and wood orbs and no time extend. However, with this buff, he gains 4 wood rows, so he makes a reasonable sub, actually, possibly on, say, like Liu Bei Dios teams, where you want a bit of damage enhanced, but you want passive damage as well from the rows. Something to consider. It might give him a bit more play time, but he might still just become a 3,000 monster point vendor cell. Finally, and perhaps the most impactful, is Red Riding Hood. She gains 2 more Fire Row Awakenings, and that's big because on Xiang Mei teams, you want to have Fire Rows, and because there's not many subs to choose from, many people have Red Riding Hood, and weren't using her because it's just kind of suboptimal, and now it's becoming a bit more optimal to use. Yes, Uriels are still better, same with the single Gladius or multiple Xiang Meis, but Red Riding Hood's kind of the next best thing you have, actually. So this is meaningful, especially to players that do use her or are thinking of buying her and have the Red Riding Hood available. Something to consider. So next up are the new evolutions that came out. So first is Sarasvati. I own her and I find she's quite exciting. She becomes a 100 times water row leader that focuses on rows, and you basically do an outrageous amount of damage and you blow things out of the water. And I wrote up a whole team building and guide that analyzes her uses and whatnot. You can click it here on the corresponding post. It's worth a read if you have her. I don't want to do it here because it's just going to take up way too much space. Next is Cao Cao. So Awoken Cao Cao is trying to follow in the footsteps of Liu Bei, as he has the same 64 times multiplier when you connect 9 fire orbs and 4 times recovery when you use an active skill. The full damage multiplier is connected to using an active skill as well, to be fair. Now, this is great, however, he can't replicate Awoken Liu Bei button teams because there's no good replacement for Zeus Dios. And Zeus Dios does the whole board to wood, 2 skill boosts, and co-op bonus multiplier awakening. So that means he gets his active up in time, he gets 50% bonus stats. So he's a pretty much fantastic sub, and a lot of Liu Bei teams just run 3-4 Dioses, and that's all you need. And for Cao Cao, your other option is Surtur, how to say that, I'm not sure, and Beach Goemon is better than regular Goemon because the extra skill boost. And Goemon is not ideal because you reset your health to 1, so you can die to preemptives, and Suture doesn't really have awakenings to support it, so you'll struggle to get all your actives up in time, so he's not going to be as great of a button leader. It's possible, but it's a lot more effort, and it's not as efficient. However, you can play Cao Cao like a regular person. Like, you might have to actually do puzzling and matching orbs, like, whoa, slow down, what is this, no buttons? Like, you might actually have to match orbs. So you can make him a fire row leader, which is the best outside of Xiang Mei, to be honest. But he does suffer from the active skill usage clause, which means he can't heal up when he's stalling at the bonus multiplier. But thankfully, you have access to Scarlet, and if you have a full Scarlet system, you are able to basically have 4 Scarlets as subs and use 1 Scarlet active every turn. This triggers your full leader skill and generates 4 fire orbs at all times. And that's pretty fantastic. Like, you might not have enough to make your row, but at least you're getting close. So you can do 64 times damage with a row and heal 4 times recovery. And in addition, you can use your Cao Cao's actives, which convert water and poison, as well as 1 turn delay, into fire. Now, this would allow you to correct bad Scarlet boards, as well as being able to delay problematic floors such as Hino Kagetsugu, who is a dangerous spawn. Now, this team is capable of taking out Arena 1, provided you don't get hit by DQ Hair unless you have full Dark Resist Latents. But it's something to consider. Like, a full Scarlet system is something some people have. You may have had it before. You can farm it now because there are easier options what you can use. So Cao Cao does have viability with a Scarlet team. You can always use regular fire subs, but you won't be able to use an active every turn, so that can be problematic. But at least he is a viable leader, and he does have potential to clear relatively high-end content. In co-op, you still can use him as a powerful leader. Just use an active every turn because you have 8 subs. Simple as that. Just, you can't button. That's all it is. Lastly, for the evolutions are the mechanical gods, and they receive split evolution paths. And the split evolutions have a leader and a sub as the 2 different outcomes. So for the leader, they become a 1.69 times health, 42.25 times attack for machine types, when matching a 5 orbs 1 enhanced. Kind of underwhelming. They gain 1 skill boost awakening. Not very great. However, the sub evolutions gain 2 skill boosts and the very coveted God Killer awakening. And this pretty much propels them into a very high-end sub because they have haste, they change poison and jammers as well as hearts to their primary color, 2 skill boosts, 2 orb enhances, 2 heart enhances, and 2 skill bind resists. So they're pretty fantastic subs now. Like, they really are strong. And most notably, Pollux became one of the best DQXQ subs with that dark typing because you get the God Killer and all those other awakenings, and she rivals Bale or surpasses Bale, especially in solo mode, as the best dark coverage sub. Now, the only time you should ever make the leader evolution is if you need that sub color for your rainbow team, which is really just applying to Pollux at this point. If you have no better fire alternative and you have to use Pollux, you might have to keep her as light fire. If you can spare it, you want to go for the Light Dark, or the God Killer Awakening for the other ones at all costs. So, some quality life improvements came about with this patch, and most notably was the quote-unquote nerf to the mail expiration. So now we have 365 days to claim unopened mail. This kind of feels like a little punch in the stomach because we just got the mail display buff in the previous patch. However, you have to keep in mind that 365 days is a very, very long time. Some people haven't even played that long. And for myself, my oldest unclaimed rewards are about 200 days old. So you're probably going to claim these much before the expiration date. It just kind of it makes you feel like you have a sense of urgency when in actual fact a year is a very long time. I'm not sure why they did this. It doesn't really change much. It just makes people feel sad. With Awoken skills, you can now sort them in the filtering in your monster box by Awoken skills, and it will show all monsters with that Awoken skill, even if you haven't awakened them with Tamadras. Something to keep in mind when you're trying to find a niche Awoken skill that you need. Finally, there's the quest badge system, which I heavily covered in a different guide. I encourage you to read that because it would just take up too much space. I don't want to do it here. So in summation, this 9.3.1 buff came with quite a few exciting things, like the badge system gives you a lot of free rewards and something to work towards, as well as enhancing your solo play experience. In addition, the new evolutions are quite exciting, like they breathe life into cards that were not necessarily used, which is healthy because it's better when they cycle in older cards that got outdated, and it makes you feel good because you're like, yes, this card I had sitting in my box for months is now strong. I'm happy. They should be doing this more often, and that is good in what they have, because all these evolutions are powerful in their own regards, and they all have a place in today's meta, in my opinion. So, let me know what you found most exciting about this new patch. Leave some comments down below. I'll try my best to reply to them. Check out my site, and happy puzzling!